All right, I'm going short here as we head into lunch that kicks off at around 11:30. I'm in the living room, so if you hear some background noise, I have all the windows open enjoying this fall weather. So if you hear wind and things of that sort in the background, just try your best to ignore it. So we've traded into a daily bullish order block. I'm looking at that opening price, which comes in at around 24,850. Okay, I like how we have this small intermediate term high with a short term high here and a short term high here. Very small fractal, but this highest high right here has two lower highs on the left and on the right. Kind of like you see here in this fractal, we have a short term high, or excuse me, a short term low and a short term low here, making this low an intermediate term low. So that's a strong low. That should stay in place if you're bullish, just like this intermediate term high should stay in place if you're bearish. So we've cleared out relative equal highs. We've traded above the midnight open. We've traded into last week's new week opening gap. I believe it was last week's, an old new week opening gap. Daily bearish order block, opening price, and also the upper quadrant, or nope, that's wrong. Lock-in Tremaine, the lower quadrant of the daily wick, which is yesterday, I believe. Let me double check real quick. Yes, yesterday's Monday, September 9th daily wick. If you grade that and get the lower quadrant, that's what you see outlined right there. And as you saw in the first clip, the losing trade, I lost around $1,100. And notice on this trade, I'm risking pretty much 1,000, not even. So risking less than what I lost on my first attempt. That's money management practice that I like to implement. Helps keep the drawdown very minimal, and it allows for a nice steady equity curve over the course of a month, a couple months, a quarter, and obviously a year. So what I'm looking for here is we have previous day's low, okay, here, and we just fell short of that by like 3 ticks. So I'm seeing that as relative equal lows, and I like that as a draw. The only thing that kind of raises eyebrows for me, all of this back and forth here is a balanced price range. Okay, it's going to take a lot of, it's asking NASDAQ, for a lot to try to get through all of this in order to get to previous day's low. So I'll plan on taking partials, if I best see fit, because previous day's low, I'm not demanding that, and I'm not demanding this sell side because, like I said, we have to get through all of this back and forth gnarly morning session. But I'll just have to see how it's looking like. And it's actually a good pyramid entry. I just missed, but that right there, trading up to midpoint of that wick. We have our current new day opening gap. If we get below that, and it's also coupled with this fair value gap, which I'm expecting to be treated as an inversion level. So if we trade beneath that and beneath our current new day opening gap, I'll look to get another pyramid entry here. And I'll likely add 2 contracts instead of 1 because I'll be able to trail my stop loss down pretty nicely. So I want you to focus on my stop and how much I'm risking. Never risking more than 1.5%. And always, that second trade, always scaling back on my risk. It was a pretty tough morning session. S&P, Dow, and obviously here NASDAQ. Just really the delivery hasn't been the cleanest. A lot of higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, that kind of thing going on. Made it for a really difficult morning session, so having to spend a little bit of overtime to recoup that morning loss. So yesterday I netted about $1,400 today I'm currently down realized P&L 1100, so I'm up around $300 for the week. I want to see what I can pull out of this. It is NFP week, so I prefer to be done trading by tomorrow morning session. So Wednesday, once that morning session is behind us, I prefer not to trade Thursday or Friday. I want to finish all my I want to finish all my business before then. So I'm giving myself today and tomorrow morning to kind of reach my weekly objectives. So again, I'm anticipating this to be used as an inversion fair value gap. I want us to eat through its consequent encroachment. If we could get through midpoint of our current new day opening gap, along with midpoint of that inversion fair value gap, then I'll look to pyramid. And then I'm going to be able to trail that stop loss down pretty nicely. So right there. So I'm shorting 2 more contracts right at consequent encroachment of the inversion fair value gap. I don't need it to close below. Okay, if you know what you're looking for and you're confident in your drawn liquidity, and it's something ICT has even taught you that, you do not need it to trade to the close outside the inversion fair value gap, come back, touch it, because you may not always get that recess. And truthfully, if the trade is really good, I would want it to leave this inversion fair value gap and not trade back to it. That's how you know you're in a really good trade that's about to take off. All right, so risk is around 1.5% for my account size. I've openly shared my account balance and whatnot, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. So risking 1.5%, it's actually a little less. And I'm going to trail the stop down once we displace past this inversion fair value gap. And I'm really paying attention to how this is delivering in here, because again, we have all of this back and forth, which is a balanced price range. So if we start stalling in here, or if we start just spending time and NASDAQ looking like it's struggling to eat through all of this, then I'm going to take partials and scale out a little sooner than what I would like. And the easiest way to manage partials is to just take the dealing range from that low up to the high, get the midpoint. So equilibrium is here. You could take any partial beneath that price level. You have a fair value gap here. You have sell side inefficiency. So right here, we're beneath the inversion fair value gap and we're beneath our current new day opening gap. So I want to see those two PD arrays offer resistance. So we've traded up to the low of our current new day opening gap, and as of right now, failed to reach midpoint of that inversion fair value gap. Again, I'm down 1100 on the day, so I will be diligent in taking partial. So right there, I'm going to take 2 off. I like that displacement because I have to monitor to see if it wants to eat through all of this. But as of right now, I like the speed that it's giving me. Gonna lower the stop right above the inversion fair value gap. Most times I like to, like 90% of the time, I like to go break even, risk completely removed after I take a partial. But I really don't want to be too aggressive with this. So I'm fine having like less than 0.5% open risk as a stop. But I'm submitting to the trade idea and looking for sell side. I really hope this audio is coming through clearly, because there's a lot of wind outside and whatnot. So just with those 2 partials, my red day is taken care of. I'm currently up $700 on the day, and I really don't want to go break even this early, or not this early, but I don't like where my stop is because it's really close to midpoint of our current new day opening gap, and it's pretty much hugging midpoint of that inversion fair value gap. Price is allowed to trade into that. There's nothing wrong if it does it. So having my stop loss there is aggressive, but I mean, for the day that it's been fairly difficult. I had to be smart and understand that I can't be not greedy, but if you're up for the day and if you recoup previous losses from the morning, you want to protect your capital, make sure you walk away green, because I really don't want to overstay my welcome and have to trade, more of lunch or the PM session. So as always, rules apply. Watching the inversion fair value gap, would want to sustain the lower half. If it's bearish, that's ideal. And you can see how easily one loss can be erased. It's when it comes to people struggling with revenge trading or over trading, or blowing their account in one session, just trying to trade up and down, left, right, sideways, and just doing damage to yourself in a span of just a few minutes. You always have to remember, one trade can erase numerous losses if you have sound money management. And if you just say, okay, like in the stream today in Discord, I took the loss here and I said, all right, I'm going to look for another trade this morning. But if it's looking unfavorable, then I may have to wait for lunch as we head into 11:30 or whatnot. So that's kind of what we're seeing here, where I'm forced to push myself to the sidelines after taking a loss. Here, getting stopped out and having to sit through all this boring back and forth. But none of this, after I get stopped out, none of this is showing me higher probability. And combine that with the fact that S&P has been looking muddy and Dow has been looking muddy, it's just been real. This is a day that tests your patience. But like I said, on the point I was trying to make earlier, you can make back losses with just one trade, risking less than what I originally risked on my first trade. And you can close that full position, like how I took partials, 2 contracts off. You can close all 4 right there and call it a day. There it is, it's done. So this is what I was talking about, where I'm saying NASDAQ is spending a little bit too much time than what I would like. So that right there is kind of like a caution sign. I'm not saying we can't reach for previous day's low, but I'm observing how much time it's spending, and is it struggling to get through all of this back and forth here. So I'm actually going to take another partial. If we were to trade underneath that low, I'm going to peel one off there, and then I'll just have one contract, and I'll hold for previous day's low in this sell side if I'm able to get it. So I'm paying attention to the candlesticks. How long is it taking to deliver? Is NASDAQ struggling? This is when I like to glance at S&P and Dow. Are they looking bearish still? Are they looking heavy? Are those markets looking bullish, which would be problematic? And I'm trying to get feedback on what everything else is doing, and that's going to kind of dictate what I want to do with NASDAQ. So I'm going to have my, let's make sure I change that to a 1. I'm going to have my trigger finger on the market order. And if we trade beneath that low, I will peel one off there and then just hold the last contract for that previous day's low. Best case scenario exit, but obviously it's not required for me. Can't tell if it looks like it just traded underneath that low. Wait for a little more displacement. I'll go ahead and take that, stalling a bit. So now I have one contract remaining, and just going to manage this with my stop without trying to be too aggressive. I wouldn't want to see us to return back to our current new day opening gap. And then I'll see if I can get previous day's low. See if I can make an extra $2,000 with this one contract. And then we'll call it a day. Beautiful, beautiful delivery. Looking at this wick, want my stop loss above that. Its midpoint comes in at 24,789. Not gonna hug it. Don't want to get too aggressive, but stop loss below that. I set on the sell side, so 3 out of my 4 contracts are scaled out. I'm currently up $1,340 on the day, so I've recouped that $1,100 loss, and I'm still able to net an additional $1,300 with partials. This last contract doesn't have to reach the sell side in order for me to have a green day, and then you just submit to it. Oops, I apologize. This month of September has required me to spend a lot of time outside of the morning session, which I actually don't like. I don't like trading lunch. I don't like trading the PM session, the final hour macro, contrary to what a lot of people may think. I'd rather be in the gym or playing a game or grabbing lunch with my lady or doing anything outside of the charts. I prefer to have most of my trading done in the morning. But this month of September, the morning session has been a little bit more difficult for me, so it's been a lot of take a loss in the morning, recoup it during lunch, take a loss in the morning, recoup it during the PM session. And I've been putting a lot of overtime in. But I love trading the fall as we head into October, November, December. The fall months are usually pretty nice. And we're entering Q4, quarter 4, starting tomorrow, so that's exciting. Clean slate for everybody, and just take it one day at a time. So alright, so we're trading to that wick. Again, I'm not demanding sell side. We haven't even taken out this low. And if I'm truth be told, if we take out previous day's low, I'd actually be surprised. That's something I'm not really expecting, at least not in the cleanest manner. But this wick and its midpoint is a premium array, and my stop loss is above its consequent encroachment. If we trade above that, I wouldn't be interested in being short. I want to go ahead and cash out with that extra 400 and call it a day there. Alright, so there's midpoint of the wick. See if there's any sensitivity in that. I'm watching the bodies and where they close. Wick's doing the damage, but I'm observing where we're opening and closing. Are we staying in the lower half of that wick? And then if you look left, we have a BISI in here. Alright, and there's my last contract remaining, stopped in profit. And that is the business. So previous loss, recoup. All right, and here's the business here. Live account, real brokerage, regulated broker, trade station, connected green dot, okay, live market, all that good stuff. That's $1,700 on the day, and that's including a loss earlier. So nowhere near perfect. Didn't get the best exits. Didn't even take out sell side. Last contract stopped in profit. And it just goes to show you don't have to be perfect. You don't need a super high strike rate. You just need sound money management, patience, discipline. Okay, you take a loss, wait, 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 wait. Buy side taken, daily bearish order block, capitalize on it, recoup that previous loss plus a little extra. So that's it for today. Hopefully you found this insightful. Discord members, I'll see you on the live stream tomorrow morning at 9:15. All right, peace.